This is biogeneric variation. Biogeneric variation, when I turn this on, what this will do, and I'm going to look at it from the occlusal, I can change the actual occlusion on this tooth. So if you wanted some occlusion that looked a little bit more like this, more like a denture tooth, you can move this and it's going to adjust the occlusion and it's going to attempt to adjust the bite at the same time. Okay, so I can turn this down, turn it all the way this way, and it's basically just, this is a very typical typodont type tooth. If this is what you're looking for, you have to wait until the circle stops because it's calculating and it's actually looking at adjacent and opposing teeth for your contacts. So you can move your biogeneric variation to whatever fits, what you think fits into the mouth. Okay, and then we can do a reset on that also if you'd like to do that. Here's a reset, and again it just goes back to whatever the original one was. Now I want to show you the next one is recalculate. And what would happen if I went to the move tool and let's say I scaled it a little bit larger and then I wanted to position it and I positioned it slightly and then I wanted to go to the anatomical two-directional and move this in, and oh, that was circular, sorry, I want to do anatomical, pull this over, and now all of a sudden I've got this tooth in such a mess that one of the easiest things that you can do, because as you'll hear me say tons of times, the more you mess with this, the more you're going to mess it up. So I will go to this tool and it says recalculate, and when you left click on recalculate, what it does is it puts it back to where the tooth started from. So if you move this tooth and then I went to form, and let's say I added over here, every time I change a tool and went to move again and moved it, if I undo, it goes back one step. You notice I can't reset everything. It only went back to the last tool. So I can't get back to when I was at form. There's no, here as you can see, there's no reset. So what would happen is I would then go to recalculate, click on the recalculate button, and then hit edit restoration. I'm sorry. I'd go to the recalculate button and then click on the recalculate again at the top. So now it's going to start off and give you the restoration that the machine wanted in the first place. So you're right back to where it started from. So if you really get it messed up, then just go ahead and hit the recalculate button. Now the next tool, I'm going to click on contacts. So you can see it has distal, occlusal, and mesial. So you don't see anything right now. I'm going to go over to the analyzing tools that we already have turned on, and I'm going to roll this up a little bit because I'm going to turn on the contacts. Now here are the contacts of this tooth, and if, let's say I went to the move tool and I moved this up, and this is now in hyperocclusion. I could go in with the circular two-directional, I could go in with the smooth, of course I could hit recalculate, but I really don't want to do that. This is the purpose of this, is to show you what the occlusal tool does. And what that is this is a virtual grinder. So I can go to occlusal and left click on the occlusion, and it actually grinds this down to whatever the parameter is that we set. So it's very, very fast. This happens to be about 25 microns. So whatever we set the parameters to, that will work. I personally, and I'm going to hit trimmed model, and if I look here, it's going to say, well, now because I've moved it, this is very hard, or very high. This is very broad, and it's penetrating into the adjacent tooth quite a bit. If I go to the mesial contact and hit mesial, you can see it ground it down to the 25 microns. But just in order to show you, can you see how it also, let's turn off the model contacts. You see how it made a divot? So now I'd have to go back and smooth that off. I normally like to go in and just use the smooth tool. And we'll give demonstrations to how to actually use these tools. So again, if I'm going to add a little bit to make this even worse. And then I'm going to go to the contact tool, and I'm going to hit distal, and then I'm going to go and shut the contacts off. And that one wasn't too bad, but I don't like these divots. So I don't normally use the occlusal tools. Now the only other tool that I haven't shown you is move with BioJaw. Now I'm going to turn the lower jaw back on and untrim it. And we're going to click on BioJaw. And it's saying deletion of already calculated restorations. So if you are going to use BioJaw, you always want to use this before you do anything else. And then you're going to say OK. And what this allows me to do is I can now go to position and position this tooth any place that I want. And it will not take into account the opposing arch. Okay, or the... So if I wanted to tilt these and move it all around, however I think this would fit into the arch better and not be disturbed, I can do that. And then when I go to the tools, you can see I'm positioning and rotating. I can even scale it if I'd like to. So I'm going to move all these around. And then and after I get it positioned the way I want it, I'm going to go next. And what will happen is, as you can see, it leaves it in that location. So it doesn't try to put it into harmony with the adjacent teeth or with the opposing arch. I told it to put it in that position, and it basically keeps it in that position. So I'll turn the contacts on. You can see that it's in hyperocclusion because that's where I put it. But if I wanted to do that, and now I'm happier with the position of this tooth, I could go to contacts and hit the occlusal contacts, and it would grind it down for me. Okay, so this is all the tools. I'd like you to practice with them for a minute. Then we'll go to how to do milling, and then we'll actually show you how to do a case.